reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter, brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. This is episode 165. I'm Chris and I'm joined once again by my favorite other Canadian on the podcast, Mr. at MMO Bill himself. Hello, Bill.
I feel like I'm only the favorite because I'm the guy who shows up.
Well, there is that. Unfortunately, Harry Hall is swamped under paying work. So, you know, the jerk. How dare he want to put a roof over his head and food on his table? Well, actually,
that's crazy. He
lives near Amsterdam, so I don't want to. He might be spending his money on something different. And of course, Leonor is unavailable this week as well. So it's just the two of us once again, Bill. I'm okay with that.
Not going to sing this time.
Not going to sing. Not going to sing. Those of you who were there for the live show last week, I'm sorry.
There you go. Yep. No, I'm a little like the co-host next door. You know, I'm a pretty good option when no one else is around. But I feel like when everyone comes back, I'm going to be like priority 4. Like, oh yeah, Bill's there. Except for Steve, but you know. Steve.
Yeah, Steve's just a jerk.
Steve.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve.
I'm not sorry. All right, Bill, let's get into things here. What have you been doing in game?
Well, this week, I think I've probably played more games in the last 7 days than I've played in the last 7 weeks. I actually had a pretty good week. I was able to carve out some time. Guild Wars 2 is probably the most time I spent. I've been doing dungeon runs in Guild Wars 2. Just character maintenance. I got 2 pieces of Citadel of Flame stuff now. I've got the face piece and the shoulders. So I officially am on fire. So
yeah,
and actually it was my first. I've done probably 4 or 5 dungeon runs, Citadel of Flame, to earn up those symbols and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And dungeons in Guild Wars 2 are weird. It's probably been talked about before. It's very weird to not have a tank. It's very weird to not have a dedicated healer and everything like that. But just the general speed of it. Like, I don't think I've ever played a game, like obviously MMOs, or every MMO, Rift, that I've really done dungeon runs in, Rift and World of Warcraft and Lotro and everything like that. There's a certain amount of, like when you're doing pugs, that there's a certain amount of urgency. You get through the dungeon as quickly as you can and get your gear and your rewards as fast as you can and get out. It's a whole new level in Guild Wars 2. Like, people just, they don't want to stop. There's no breathing allowed. You just go. Oh, the dungeon's over. And it doesn't help, or it either does or doesn't help, depending on how you look at it, that the dungeons are very short, or at least the Citadel of Flame paths are very short. Like, it takes 15 minutes to do.
Right.
So it's really easy if you're trying to grind out, just get symbols, get your gear, move on. It's hard, though, to sit back and kind of look through the dungeon. Like I imagine if we were in as a guild group and taking our time and looking at everything, it would be a completely different experience. And I actually kind of want to try a slow run some night.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely feel that as well. And part of that, of course, is the experience that people have with the dungeons. I don't know, and I'd love to hear something different from our listeners, but I don't think people do dungeons just for fun. I think people do them in Guild Wars too, because just the way that they're built. I think people run them because they want something. They want the tokens. Whereas when in other games, in WildStar, in Rift, in WoW, I run dungeons because I like running dungeons.
Yeah,
It's
And
a
I agree
challenge.
with
It's
you.
a puzzle. It's fun.
I agree with you. It's I feel the same way now after just the experience that I've had so far doing Dungeons and Guild Wars 2. They're a means to an end. The thing that I like in Guild Wars 2 most still is the open world stuff. Like the big events and that kind of thing where you've got 100 people all in the same place fighting the same boss. That I actually find more fun than the pug go runs in dungeons. Now maybe that'll change if there's ever new dungeons, new content added for that, and it could be run a little bit more patiently. That would be great. But as it is right now, it's the open world stuff and the living story stuff tend to be more engaging for me. And even then, as we've talked about before, some of the living story is really good and some of it is less.
Yeah, for me, it's I'm still trying to finish the personal story and get my world completion done, and that has more of a draw to me than that's more fun to me than running the dungeons. I'm only running the dungeons right now because I hated my stupid chest plate. I mean, who wears a freaking gladiator strap as heavy armor? I felt like all of a sudden I was like a female character in an MMO or something.
I was, it looked like a little BDSM to me, actually, and I'm really glad you've got a new piece. So
Yeah, I think
I'm
we
much
all
more
are.
comfortable playing Guild Wars 2 with you now.
Yeah.
So, speaking of playing with you, we jumped in and we played Neverwinter this week, which was actually, this has been a game that's been on my list to play for a while. So you and me and Asani jumped in and we made Neverwinter characters, did the tutorial, and I actually really like it. I got the similar vibe to when we were playing DDO all those many years ago.
Agreed.
And
completely.
as in a good way. It's not DDO, so like not for anyone who has played both. I'm not trying to say Neverwinter is the same as DDO, but there's a little bit of vibe that's the same.
They both do a great job of capturing, if not the mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons, because I don't think either feels like a Dungeon and Dragon campaign. I think they both get the feel of their particular world that they're going for.
And I hate to keep using the word feeling and vibe and not being more
feels, Bill, the
descriptive,
feels.
but it's the feels. It is like I don't really have a better way to describe it. It's a real personal taste thing for me with Neverwinter, so I like it. So if you liked DDO, if you've got a kernel of D&D history for you, if you cut your teeth RPGing and D&D and everything like that, Neverwinter is definitely worth a try, especially considering the price. So. And also, I did something, Chris.
What?
I did something.
Dun dun dun. What did you do?
If there was one game, if I went to you, Chris, and I said, Chris, I did a bad thing.
You played
what
WoW.
game do you think
You played
I'd be
WoW.
playing? Yeah, I did.
Bill.
To be fair,
Bill. Go ahead.
It's just a taste. I can quit anytime I want. I only jumped in for the trial. I've got the 10-day trial on my account. I made a panda. I'm doing I'm going through the motions. I felt like there was a piece of my life missing because I didn't take that World of Warcraft step. So it's filling that niche. I'm getting the panda out of my system. I think I'll be okay.
Okay. You're going to get Warlords of Draenor and have a level 90 panda, aren't you?
I don't want to say no.
The silence is telling, Bill.
I'm not going to rush out. To me, it's not a rush out and get it day one kind of thing. It is altogether possible that I would pre-order and be ready to go on day one. Sorry, Harry. Mainly because actually, if I do get the vibe to play World of Warcraft, and I know I'm going to be playing Worlds of Draenor, it's actually cheaper to get Mists of Pandaria and Worlds of Draenor than to buy them separately. So this is getting back to my cheapness.
Yeah,
so
you know what?
It comes down to that.
You're going to get angry emails for that. I'm going to get angry emails because I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. local time to play Elder Scrolls Online on Sunday for the head start. Harry is going to send us both angry Twitter messages this week.
Yep, and you know what? He's he's got the right. To be fair, that he's nothing if not consistent.
Absolutely true. Agreed.
Speaking of
wholeheartedly.
consistent, just screw Denmark. Really, sorry, Denmark people, but played Civ 5 again, and I talked about it a little bit last week. I continued on that same game, and Denmark. I really believe the Danish people are actually excellent people. Jannik Hansen is one of my favorite people on the planet. For those of you who don't know, Danish hockey player Jannik Hansen, woohoo. These guys are just they're just I rage quit Civ because of Denmark. I'm just going to put it out there right now. They would go and attack one of my cities. I would go obliterate their armies, and they'd say, "Oh, peace, peace, save us, don't kill us." And I'd being the gentle person I'd let them go. And then they would promptly go attack another one of my cities and repeat this like 4 times. They did the same thing. Other countries are starting to call me the warmonger.
Oh,
and it's just like, screw you. Enough.
That's hilarious.
So.
But you know that sound that you just heard was
I love you, Denmark, but seriously, screw you.
That sound you just heard was our Danish listeners leaving in droves.
I like how you said listeners, as in plural.
Well, you know,
you're just the eternal optimist, Chris. Good for you.
I am. That's just the way I roll.
It is.
Yep.
So, speaking of rolling, what games did you roll in this week?
Well, a little game you might have heard of, Guild Wars 2.
Mm-hmm.
I played that. Last weekend was the first of many closed beta. I don't want to call them. They're not open betas. They're closed beta weekends. So basically, you could either win keys for these betas, or you could pre-order and you could get in. And like I mentioned on last week's show, when we were talking about the WildStar pre-order, I kind of feel a little bit. I hate to say it, it's hard to spit it out, but I might be starting to agree with Harry about selling early beta access as part of it. Although with the WildStar one, like I said last week, it does feel like there's enough there that the beta is just part of it. Like it would still be a complete pre-order package without the beta access, and the beta is just part of it. Whereas some other ones that we've seen, access is the pre-order, right? So
yeah, well, I still am underwhelmed by the WildStar pre-order package. So that's
but you're underwhelmed with WildStar overall. So that's part of it too, right?
Sorry, what?
You're underwhelmed with WildStar overall. You're not like I will admit it firsthand. I'm fanboyish about it. It's one of those. It's like it's like Harry and Elite Dangerous.
We need to draw a line here. It's not that I'm ambivalent towards WildStar. I'm actually interested in WildStar. It does look like fun. I like what they've been putting out for media for the game. I like the story. I've got the little bit of tastes that I've had of WildStar so far. Makes it seem interesting.
Yeah.
But you are over the roof. So I feel like you're selling me short by saying that I don't care about WildStar or I don't like it or something like that, because I do. I'm interested. You are fanatic.
Well, I am, but the thing is, I'm not. I'm trying to be pretty clear about its faults as well, which it does have some faults. And there's some things that Elder Scrolls Online does better than WildStar does, and they're very, very different games. But WildStar, the reason I'm so excited about WildStar is because what it offers fits what I want so much. Not because necessarily the game itself is so much better, which it is, in my opinion, because it fits my wants so well. And, you know, I did play in that weekend. I found myself, it looks like I'll have a nice late night West Coast raiding guild, which will be really exciting. As things progress, I'm not going to say what the guild is yet. I have to, play with them a little bit more, and then get a little bit more experience with them, and talk to the guild leader, see if he's okay me mentioning it and stuff like that. But I have found a guild, and that fits perfectly with my time. I want late night raiding, like late night West Coast raiding. Usually, you know this problem as a West Coaster, and all of our West Coast players will know this as well. I'd say probably 2/3 of guilds are East Coast time based, right?
Which seems weird to me because I'm pretty sure 2/3 of the people don't live East Coast, but I guess
there's
East Coast people are more natural leaders. I don't know.
No. If you look at and the U.S. has a bigger population than Canada, and Canada's the same way though. A larger portion of the population of the U.S. is in the eastern half of the U.S. Not larger part, but if one side is bigger than the other, it's the East Coast. Right, there's more bigger cities on the East Coast. There's, if you think of really big cities, there's 4 or 5 on the West, and there's like 10 or 15 on the East. So, anyways, but finding a guild that doesn't start at 6 p.m. my time, which is not good because I have kids, is hard. And this guild seems perfect for me. So I'm really happy about that. And like you said, we jumped into Neverwinter as well, and I'm working my way through Titanfall, getting my levels up in that. Which has got, it's like, I totally understand, because I've never played a shooter and the multiplayer part of it and the whole leveling and unlocking and stuff. Like, I've never really done that in a game. The shooter I played the most was Team Fortress 2. And even
Did you... Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry, I thought you were stopping. Go ahead.
No, so playing through this generation stuff, I totally understand now what Harry's talking about, where it feels kind of MMO-ish. Totally does. That same ding feeling that you get in an MMO totally comes across in Titanfall for me. And plus, the game is just the bomb.
Did you read the news today about what they're doing with cheaters in Titanfall?
Yes. Oh my God. It's so cheaters they get banned, but they can still play the game against other cheaters. So who paid for the best auto aim is really what it comes down to.
The best solution to that problem ever.
Oh,
it doesn't say in the FAQ or the FAQ whether you can ever get unflagged as a cheater. Like if you get caught being a cheater, are you a cheater forever?
Yep. Permaban.
I don't hate that. I really don't.
It's a game, right? It's not like you are banned from any game ever. You are banned from this one game. There are plenty of other choices out there. There are consequences for your mistakes. This is one of them. What do you think?
I love that.
On a high horse?
If it wasn't clear to everyone else, basically what Titanfall does is if they detect the cheating add-ons like aim hacks or whatever you will, the one that they show in their screenshot here is one called Fair Fight. Don't go looking for it, please, because I'd hate for you to be banned. Because
Isn't Fair Fight the scanning software?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Okay. Yes, it is. You're right.
Yeah.
Titanfall uses Fair Fight to detect cheaters. So excuse me. So whatever your cheat add-on of choice is, Fair Fight, if it detects it, it flags your account. And there's a little UI element that comes up. It's a little red piece of text that says cheat detected, and that's that. You can still join games. You can still play the campaign. But like Chris said, you're getting put into a special category that where you can only play with other cheaters. Now, the delicious part of this, or the part that I found delicious, sorry, we're sort of jumping into the news. I actually threw this in just at the last second because I loved it so much, if you get caught as a cheater and you party up with friends that aren't cheaters, and then you'd play, your friends are going to get sucked into that cheater-only server.
Only while they're partied with you, though.
Only while they're partied with you. So if they play with you, they get obliterated by cheaters. And so there's not only just the cordoning off of cheaters from non-cheaters and letting the people who want to play correctly play without fear of cheating and everything like that, but if you are friends with a cheater, like it's the social engineering part of it too. Like Titanfall is getting your friends to hate you for being a cheater.
Yep.
So there's consequences for it, and I actually kind of think that's delicious. I mean, obviously there's the risk of false positives and everything like that, and the last question is there. If you think you've been banned unfairly, you can email blah-de-blah to try to get reinstated, whatever. But I really like that they're still letting you play, but you're lying in the bed that you made by being a dirty cheater.
Mm-hmm. I'm so okay with that.
So
Yep. All right, I think it's time to move things along to the news. Bill, I think it's time to plant your point of Scrooge flag.
okay, I just want to. I have a very articulate intro for this next story. I thought about this long and hard over the last couple days. I've done a lot of research and a lot of reading, and I think I'm ready to kind of expunge or expound on what. To try to distill
Lay it
this
on us,
down
Bill.
into a single. What the just happened?
I think you
Right?
just spoke for the entirety of geek culture.
Okay, Facebook. You know, Facebook, where your grandma, where you play Words with Friends with your grandma, bought Oculus Rift. Oculus being the company that's responsible now for arguably the most revolutionary piece of A, gaming hardware, and B, like quote unquote maker gaming hardware, like the actual hardcore open source community that is the Oculus Rift. Facebook bought this.
Yep.
These you could not find a more oddball matchup from a gamer's perspective than what just happened here, but it happened. So, like, what happened?
It came out of nowhere too. It just was not something that was rumored or anything like that. Just came up out of nowhere. Yeah. Here's what bugs me the most about this. Is that number one, Oculus is not released yet. This is not a company that has gone through stuff and been released and been out for a while and that. But that's not the biggest problem. The fact that it hasn't launched yet and it was a Kickstarter, the fact that they went to the public and said, okay, support us. You know, this is the way that we want, you know, individual investors here, which is what a lot of people think of Kickstarter as.
Okay.
And now they've gone through that and they've gotten their money from Kickstarter and a whole bunch from what I've read, is about 100 million in venture capital. And those,
75.
75 million. Okay.
No.
Plus the 25 million or whatever then from Kickstarter that they got, because they got a bunch.
2.5.
Oh, okay.
2.4 million.
There you go. You got all the numbers.
I did. I was kidding when I said I did a lot of research on this.
Almost $80 million from venture capital plus Kickstarter. And, you know, those, number one, those venture capitalists are super happy right now with this buyout because they're rich. Number two, those, like, I mean, what a great poster for not backing Kickstarters anymore.
Okay.
Because what makes you think that Facebook is now going to follow through on all the backer rewards that Oculus promised? I would not be surprised if they got lost. But not only that, the entire vision of what Oculus was supposed to be as a gamer slash hacker slash technology buff toy or part of that sphere of culture is now going to become, as what was it that Facebook said, part of the social media experience.
No, I hear where you're coming from. I want to talk first about the Kickstarter thing, and this is the seminal thing. This is the I almost feel like this is the taste of reality that Kickstarter really needed. And that is that when you are backing something on Kickstarter, you're backing a hope. I actually stole that from I think a post on Reddit. I wish I'd saved it and could credit it. But basically, when you're throwing your money at something on Kickstarter, in your mind, you're hoping that this thing is going to turn into what your mind has painted it as, and what the person running the Kickstarter is obviously trying to sell it as. So, unfortunately, this is the perfect example of this actually happening, because it was the Kickstarter. It was one of the biggest things that was there. It actually kind of displayed what Kickstarter could do and how it could be successful. It was like the success story, or one of the success stories of Kickstarter. And now it's basically they got all this buzz, and you know what, I bet you if they didn't get a dime from Kickstarter but still somehow generated the same amount of buzz and news stories and everything like that, it wouldn't have affected them one bit. They would have still wound up in the exact same place that they are now. That $2.4 million, I bet, means almost nothing to Oculus now. It was
a way to make money while getting PR.
I don't think it was even about the making money. I think at the end, and maybe it was, maybe I'm being too jaded about this, but in the end, the money that they pulled from Kickstarter was almost meaningless, because
that's what I mean.
What was very valuable for them was the buzz that allowed them to actually get a little bit of a foothold of venture capitalist, and then ultimately get the giant payday from Facebook.
Right. They instead of paying for a PR company to create this great buzz around their product, they were paid in the process. So, yeah, and where is it here? I was reading Mark Zuckerberg's post here. After games, we're going to make Oculus a platform for many other experiences. Imagine enjoying a courtside seat at a game, studying in a classroom of students and teachers all over the world, or consulting with a doctor face-to-face just by putting on goggles in your home. I don't mind that. The fact that they want to do that is fine. The fact that Oculus, which built itself as, it was at PAX, it was at all these gaming conventions, it went for that culture, that group of people, and we bought in as a culture. And I'm speaking for gaming, geek, tech culture as a whole here. We bought in, we fell in love, and now all of a sudden, the girl that we've always wanted decided to go for the rich guy with the Lamborghini, and we feel screwed.
Well, that quote that you made, that you cited from Mark Zuckerberg there, if it had been anyone else that had said it, if it had been pre-sale for Oculus, if it had been like the venture capitalists, tech experts, anyone else, it would have been a very interesting observation about what the Oculus Rift could do, and that VR type technology would have been it would have probably inspired a lot of people to say, this could be really cool. This is like another phase of technology. This is like the next Star Trek step. This is like another step towards our holodeck, the ultimate dream. But coming from Facebook, everybody, with the possible exception of Mark Zuckerberg, reads that now as like, ooh, Facebook is even going to become even more ingrained. They're going to know more about me. They're going to know about what my consultation. Imagine Facebook knowing about your consultation with your doctor. Who wants that? Not a single person. Facebook knowing what classes you're attending. Facebook knowing like that kind of stuff. It just having them be that shim in between you and that whatever your real life experience is really distasteful. And that's just the Facebook brand. It's what they've earned by being ubiquitous. It's what they've earned about being creepy with your data. And it now, I mean, Oculus and Oculus Rift now has that bad taste to it. Now it might kind of fade over time, especially if they do have a successful launch with hardware and everything like that. But there's that $2 billion that Oculus took from this deal is going to have an actual cost in terms of buzz that they had like gushing before this deal happened.
Yeah, I've got such a bitter taste in my mouth from this. I am all behind. I wasn't before, but man, I am so behind the new PlayStation 4 virtual reality headset. I am all for it.
Now, I have been trying to check myself here a bit, because it's altogether possible this is a wild overreaction. And I'm really trying to check myself in this. My visceral reaction is, ew, Facebook, this is icky. the way I did practically, though, that kind of cash infusion into a company that before all it had was quote unquote all it had. Oh, poor Oculus only had $77 or $78 million to play with their development. Now they've got just bottomless buckets of cash to improve the Oculus Rift, to get better prototypes, to actually get the technology going faster and better. This could be a good thing if Facebook has a very light touch with this, and the Oculus Rift does stay true to its open source thing. And to be fair, Facebook has dabbled in open source stuff too. They have some open compute stuff that they actually, and server architecture stuff that they've done that's open source, that was actually pretty significant contributions to open source and like open source infrastructure and that kind of thing. So there is a possibility that it could be okay, but if they treat the Oculus Rift like they treat their social media, then it might be scarier. The other part of this is John Carmack now works for Facebook.
Like,
Let's
quick.
just let that sink in for a second.
That just
I don't
seems
think we have
wrong.
to explain to anyone. We don't have to explain to anyone, I hope, who John Carmack is. John Carmack is one of the fathers of modern computer gaming. Obviously, founder of ID, or one of the founders of ID Software, one of the original, yes, ID, whatever. One of the people that were responsible for the original Doom, that kind of thing. Him and Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook are, again, polar opposites. Like if you were drawing a Venn diagram, there's no chance that those two people would be in the intersecting part, except now. Mm-hmm. So that's a weird one to process. So I had to get it out there. This is an absolute WTF story. As it plays out, it could very well be interesting and good still, but I bet you Sony is just dancing in the streets now, because they have all kinds of new buzz, and they have actually, I mean, if they actually want to really jump in and embrace that maker and open source community with their virtual reality offering, I think they could actually gain a lot of community groundswell around their offering if they decided to go down that road.
If they can do that, they have already garnered so much public goodwill and through their launch compared to the Xbox launch, the way they handled things and the way they've handled DRM and all sorts of aspects of the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox. If they can take that, the problem is, of course, that they're not based in that same kernel of code as the Xbox. Like, if it was an Xbox thing, it'd be way easier to port it over to Windows and PCs. But being a PlayStation thing, although from what I've heard, as a little aside, the PlayStation 4 is much closer in coding than PlayStation 3 was completely unique. Whereas, because of the cell processor. Whereas PlayStation 4 is based on an x86 processor, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So that makes things a lot simpler to port over. So if they can, I almost guarantee it, any money that they spend in making the driver and the back end of this thing be available multi-platform will come back to them multiples over.
I kind of think, though, they have to take the extra step and actually go after not just being cross-platform, but actually being open source and quote unquote like maker type stuff. Like actually open their VR tech up to the people who want to hack together their own solutions, their own gaming interfaces, their own life kits or life hacker type kits kind of thing. Not just the website, but actually just like hacking allow the device to be hacked. That's where they need to go, and they would garner so much goodwill right now.
Yeah. I can't. I'm done talking because that one just.
It'll be interesting. I mean, if nothing else, we have to thank Facebook and Oculus for giving us a very interesting story.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really ticked off. Anyways. All right. Let's move things along here. Shadowrun Online is talking about its early access, which will begin on March 31st. Thank you. Shadowrun Online was originally planned for a 2013 release. However, the base code that was used for Shadowrun returns. No, not Shadowrun. Jade Empire. Not Jade Empire. Gosh, what was
Jagged Alliance.
Jagged Alliance, thank you. That was the code they were using. Was too constricting for the online game, so they had to rebuild the code from scratch and delay the game almost a full year. Not only that, just to make things a little bit worse, their original investor backed out that was going to fund that extra time. Even the portrait artist, which is one of the backings for not backings, one of the rewards for backers in Kickstarter, vanished. So how much bad luck can they get here?
It is bad luck, and it's kind of interesting too, because their early access is going to be a very, very basic version of the game. Like if you watch the video, you can see there's actually quite a few elements of the game that are not coming out in this iteration of it. It's basically, we're allowing you to move around in the game and see what it's going to feel like, and then they're going to layer on the bells and whistles and Shadowrun flavor as they go. So, and yes, they've had bad money luck. They obviously are struggling fulfilling their Kickstarter obligations due to stuff presumably out of their control and everything like that, and that's fine. But it's teetering a bit. They could either get a really big pat on the back for powering through adversity and still being able to deliver a finished product, or it could fail. And I don't think anyone would be surprised at this point, because the delays, again, this was another Kickstarter funded thing that failed to deliver on its stated goals in the Kickstarter sell. So here's another kick in the teeth for Kickstarter. We have unfortunately 2 stories in a row that are like that kind of shine an ugly light on Kickstarter. It's not perfect. I mean, Kickstarter is still a net good thing. I believe that it's an important part of the internet, and it's going to contribute a lot to the development of things that wouldn't normally see the light of day. And it's actually a really nice idea too. It's community funded. It's the community funding hope for what they wish would get made. So that's still a good thing. But there is a dark side to it, and there are things like it's not all roses and candy and open games. It's sometimes it's deadlines getting missed. It's corporate buyouts and that kind of thing as well. So it's just like everything else in life. There's some risk in there too. Anyway, enough Kickstarter bashing. I really hope Shadowrun Online does make it.
So do I. I love Shadowrun.
I'm keen to see more as Shadowrun type gameplay. I find I've been longing for the old pen and paper stuff and everything like that.
You guys never wanted to play it. I always wanted to play Shadowrun. You guys always wanted to play D&D, and I loved Rifts, but I wanted to play Shadowrun, and you guys never would.
Yes,
so you all suck.
We did play Shadowrun, just not as much as you wanted.
Right.
So I'm not going to say that you're wrong. I don't know that I would have traded any of the Rifts games that we had for Shadowrun, although there were some interesting Rifts games. That's Rifts with an S, by the way, for those listening. But anyway, it's that kind of getting back to the pen and paper type experience. I wouldn't mind having more of that in my life, because it's so hard to be pen and paper as I've grown up. To all you kids out there, anyone who's young enough to still be going over and playing pen and paper D&D with your buddies, without girlfriends, without kids, without anything like that, cherish this, because as soon as you add stuff like jobs and kids and girls or boys, and I shouldn't say it's just boys out there, but kind of is.
It's not.
I know. I'm going for the joke. That's the joke. Anyway,
by the way,
sorry.
Now, Bill, tell people to get off your lawn.
Cherish that. Take advantage of it. Take a picture and enjoy it while you can.
Now tell them to get off your lawn.
That was a lot more depressing way to end that story than I really wanted.
Okay, old man, get to the next story.
Okay. So as a pick-me-up, EverQuest Next Landmark is moving along nicely. Another game that a lot of people have been excited about. Landmark itself is really kind of a cool sandboxy thing that people have started to get excited about. Now, I still don't have a really good understanding on what. Like, I understand that Landmark is kind of like the world building tools. It's the game building tools that are going to be part of EverQuest Next. But in this article that we've got on mmorpg.com that we were looking at it, and that it's talking about the beta phase B, or the alpha shifting to beta phase, they're talking about things like combat and monsters and everything. And I don't really understand that, because I understood that this was basically the building tools that people would be able to kind of experiment and see what they could make. Now, you apparently understand this better than me, Chris. So
I will not claim to be an expert, but I will say that EverQuest Next Landmark is going to be a game that is built around the world building tools. That will be the biggest part of the game. However, as part of that is going to be as part of the game is going to be a full-featured MMO with your questing, with your monsters, with combat. You're going to have classes, all that sort of stuff. You're going to be able to do all that. You're just going to have the majority of the world be focused on setting up your claims and building your whatever you want to build on your claim, and getting that set up. It's not going to be about the story, about that epic, I hate to say living story after all the Guild Wars 2 talk I did earlier tonight, but it's going to be about the big world story. That's what EverQuest Next is going to be. EverQuest Next Landmark is going to be about the building tools with a world around you, with some quests and some stuff. So
now the way in my head is Landmark is the sandbox to EverQuest Next. The theme park of EverQuest Next.
EverQuest Next is not going to be, well, it's going to be theme park and sandbox because of the way that it's set up and the way that it's triggers. It's the closest I've seen to a developer sandbox. Whereas, Eve, all Eve does is set up the world. Whereas I think Sony Online Entertainment, what they're going to do is they're going to set up the world and more triggers like you would have for like events in Guild Wars 2, but it's much more involved than that. It's not going to be, it's going to be more less triggers and more behaviors built into the world. So instead of being, okay, you have this spot and it'll reset every once in a while to be different. No, you're going to have monsters that are going to want to, if whatever their food source may be, I'm just picking an example here, is all depleted, well, they'll have to maybe raid villages to get their food source, get food that way, the monsters, the orcs or whatever. So it is more sandboxy like that. However, if you don't like building stuff a la Minecraft, go for EverQuest Next. If you like building stuff like Minecraft, but with a little bit more MMO, kind of like what Trove does, which is also an alpha, then Landmark is for you.
Okay, so are Landmark and Next eventually going to merge into the same thing?
No,
because that was what I understood.
No, they will be Landmark will be standalone post EverQuest Next launch. However, the way they tie together is that things that you build in EverQuest Next Landmark, you'll be able to put up on their store, and you'll actually be able to make real world money as a cut of what Sony makes when other people buy the stuff that you've made.
Okay.
So Sony will put it up on the store. You make it in EverQuest Next Landmark. You put it in the store. Sony looks at it, says, "Yep, this is good stuff." And let's say it's a tower for a castle, and somebody wants to build a castle. So they take your tower, and then you get a chunk of change for that, right? A cut of whatever percentage, whatever. And so you get that, and then they build a castle. But then they sell the blueprints for that castle, so people can buy the blueprints for that castle. And you still get a chunk of change from the sale of that castle because your tower is part of that castle.
Okay.
Does that make sense? That's how they're tying together.
Okay, so they are One is, like you said, it's going to be its own animal. Landmark is going to be its own animal that's going to be kind of a cross. It's people keep saying it's like Minecraft, but not that it's got this tie to a live storytelling game that is EverQuest Next. They're two different animals. EverQuest Next will be I don't want to say your typical MMO, but it'll be the game, the theme park type game with a fixed story and everything like that. And Next is going to kind of feed user generated or community generated content into that.
Right. If you want your focus to be on your character and your adventures, the focus of the game, then Next will be for you. If you want the focus to be on the building and the fun stuff that you can build with a dash of MMO in there, Landmark is for you.
There you go.
So of all of this, we're now in beta instead of alpha. So, yeah.
Sorry, I just hope that's good. It would be good if Sony can actually make that kind of clarification in what they're putting out there too. I feel like EverQuest Next and EverQuest Landmark are underreported a little bit. Like when I do catch a chunk about it or that kind of thing, maybe I'm just looking in the wrong places, but it feels like it's still relatively rare. And I'm still, like I said, obviously I still have a hard time grasping. I don't know. I assume I'm not the only one.
I've played it, Landmark, and Leonor actually streams some Landmarks. So if you follow our Twitch channel, you can get notifications when he streams Landmark. So that's a good thing. So you can check that out there. All right, we've got a few more stories right after this break. All right, Star Wars The Old Republic. Hey, they've got a new expansion. They're calling it expansion. It's not. It's a content update. This is not an expansion. They just had Galactic Starfighter come out just a little while ago. But in June, they're putting out another, I'm doing air quotes. You can't see them, but air quotes expansion. And this will be Galactic Strongholds. June 24th, subscribers will get it. Free to play will be sometime in August. The expansion is mostly quality of life updates, but the major feature is the Stronghold systems. And the Strongholds system is basically player housing that you can decorate as you see fit. You can even own multiple Strongholds on different worlds. So if you want to have a Stronghold on one world, you want to have a Stronghold on another world, then you can do that. So that's the biggest thing. You can even get a guild flagship to decorate for your guild. And decorations can be bought from many different areas in the game, such as planets, PvP, or even players can craft stuff. I'm going to bet knowing Star Wars The Old Republic, there might be some stuff in the store too. Just a thought. I'm happy for the people who play Star Wars The Old Republic lots. This will not. Galactic Starfighter got me back into the game. I still jump back in to do that space PvP a bunch. But this will not draw me back in. I'm not a housing freak, so... And freak, I use that term liberally. I'm not a housing guru. How's that? Is that better, Bill? Bill? Have I been talking without Bill?
No, you haven't.
You muted, didn't you?
I've been pondering your speech. It just deep concentration with the mute button on. Right. Here's my theory on this, and I part of me this is part of the reason, one of the reasons why I like WildStar. WildStar has for a couple of years been talking up their housing system, how this is going to be a launch feature that they're making a really big deal of.
Right.
Now, we've got WildStar, we've got the Old Republic, we've got World of Warcraft, all coming up with elaborate housing systems. And the timing of it is all just amazing because WildStar is going to come out, we think, early June.
Nope, it's confirmed, June 3rd.
June 3rd. June 3rd or June 30?
3rd.
3rd. That's okay. That's what I thought. Early June. Old Republic is going to follow right after with their own housing system. And then later in the year, we're going to see World of Warcrafts. I mean, World of Warcraft is well known for competing, like doing their releases to strategically battle other MMOs in the market. The Old Republic, I think, still feels that they're still competing with World of Warcraft. They're playing the same game, but obviously try to do the same thing to WildStar here. I find these little feature games very interesting. I'm almost curious to see who else is going to do a housing thing in this same mess here. Part of me is either excited or terrified that Guild Wars 2 is actually burning resources on that. I can't see how it would work in Guild Wars 2.
No, I think Guild Wars 2 is enough of a niche that they don't compete with anyone. They're their own. They might compete with ESO. I could see them having similar competition.
Yeah.
They're similar in style. That's probably the closest competition I can find. But ESO would be much more likely to have a great housing system than Guild Wars 2.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. There you go. Housing in the Old Republic. We're on housing watch now. We're going to keep an eye on other games that are out adding housing to their systems.
That was my breaking news beep.
There you go. Speaking of breaking news, Swordsman beta invites are going out. I have never heard of Swordsman before. A wise birdie said, "Oh, look, Swordsman, this looks cool. Let's talk about it on the show." So we're talking about it on the show. It's got interesting graphics. It's martial arts based MMO.
You can learn different styles of sword fighting, different martial arts.
And is it part of the whole Perfect World family here?
Oh, is it Perfect World? I'm not sure.
Kind of looks like its page mentions the Arc beta. Isn't Arc the Perfect World tool?
Yes, it is.
So there you go. So it's part of that Perfect World family of MMOs.
Yeah, it looks very much like a free-to-play game with a very unique approach. Taking sort of, if you like Jade Empire, similar stuff. You can see characters running along rooftops and fighting. Very, if there's such a thing as a pulp martial arts story, right? Whereas you might call WildStar pulp sci-fi western. This is kind of an old B-movie martial arts sort of story, right? Bad guy comes to town, kills your master, that sort of stuff. You have to train and fight and beat the big baddie. So,
anyway,
I think
could be interesting.
It could be very, very interesting for folks that are looking for this type of game, a free-to-play game that's got that sort of martial arts feel to it.
Yeah, if you're one of those people that is a big martial arts movie fan or something like that, you never know. Maybe this is going to scratch that itch for you in MMO format.
Yep. And last one here, and I can't show it to our live audience, unfortunately, because it's still uploading. I was lucky enough to go sit in on a Lord of the Rings Online Update 13 preview today, talking about End Play! Woot! Now, they didn't show everything, but I did get one little peek from it, because all they showed us was non-combat Ent stuff. And afterwards, I was like, oh, that's kind of disappointing, because, I was hoping for, like, retaking a Isengard, right? And so the one thing, as I was editing through the video, though, Rick Heaton, Sapiens, mentioned because you play as Treebeard, and he mentioned that he does have a couple of abilities on his bar, but as this was a non-combat instance, he couldn't use them. Dun, dun, dun! So I'm hoping there's some sort of fighting as Ents. There needs to be. I'm
certain there will be.
But that video will be up, and it talks about all the different changes. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm certain there will be some kind of combat. It'll be the retaking of Isengard is an anti thing, for lack of a
right,
for lack of a better way to describe it.
It's empty.
So, empty, not empty. Empty.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. You can check it out. By the time this podcast will have gone live, that will be up and uploaded and done. And it was a lot of editing today. It was awesome, though. It was really cool. I was really happy to go through it. Aaron Campbell's back. I did make a comment, although I didn't I didn't put it in the video about your affinity for his beard and your recreation, your attempt to recreate the gloriousness that is his beard in Canadian form.
I would never think to even presume to possibly approach Aaron Campbell's beard. As long as he's brought his beard back from DDO to Lotro, Lotro will be a wild success. They cannot fail with the power of his beard. Yes,
agreed. So that's the show, folks. That is it for this week. A couple quick notes here. Thanks to our sponsors, Doghouse Systems. Go to doghousesystems.com. Check out all the great systems that they have, which really, they are fantastic. Build yourself something that you love and use the coupon code MMO Reporter, and you can double your RAM for free. Double, 4 to 8, 2 to 4, 8 to 16. That's pretty awesome. And Audible, go to audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter, and you can get your first month free when you run out of podcasts. That's what I do. I go to Audible because I run out of podcasts all the time that I listen to, and so I've got my Audible. I've got a long drive to work though, and they are really awesome for when I'm out of podcasts, because I love my podcasts, but a good audiobook is great too.
I agree.
Bill, can you give our listeners some of the different ways in which they can contact us?
Yeah, let me just flex and stretch out here for a sec. Okay, so you can head over to the MMOreporter.com website at the obvious address. You can send us an email to mmo.reporter@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/MMOreporter. You can tweet at any of the MMO Reporter hosts, those being, of course, at MMO_reporter, at Harry Hall, at Leonore, or at MMO Bill, which would be I. You can leave us a voicemail at 616-666-6778, or head over to MMOreporter.com and click the voicemail widget on the right side of the page. And finally, you can watch all of our stuff, as well as a whole bunch of streaming and other posted video events. They're actually events. They're not just videos. They're actual video events that would look great on an Oculus Rift, I might add, at www.youtube.com/user/MMO Reporter Network.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill, so much for another fantastic show.
Yeah, we duoed it. We don't need a full group. We can handle this instance on our own.
I'll stop that now.
Yeah.
We look forward to seeing Harry and Leonore back hopefully next week. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thanks to our very, very quiet and humble chat room this week. Thanks to everyone for downloading the podcast week after week. We really appreciate it. We hope that you download the podcast again next week, but most importantly, we hope to see you in game.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got.